Hi, good afternoon. Hi. My name is Lisa Rosetta Strum. I am a teaching artist with Literature to Life. This is the organization that is performing for you this afternoon. We are very excited to be here. We're an organization that is based in New York City. Anyone been in New York? Yes? Yes, all right. We like New York. So, Literature to Life, our mission is to perform great books that inspire young people to read and become authors of their own lives. So what you were about to see this afternoon are three excerpts of solo shows that are adapted from actual novels. The first one being Black Boy from Richard Wright. The second one being If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. And the third is The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, excuse me. Each of these excerpts will be about 20 to 25 minutes long. And then there will be a Q&A session after each performance. And I believe there's microphones sort of right in the center row here, so you'll be able to ask any questions that you would like. So without any further ado, why don't we get started with Black Boy by Richard Wright. This is performed by Tarantino, and this was adapted by Elise Theron.
Hunger, American hunger. Hunger stole upon me so slowly that at first I was not aware of what hunger really meant. Hunger had always been, well, more or less at my elbow when I played. But when I was 5 years old, I began to wake up at night to find hunger at my bedside staring at me. The hunger I had known before this had been no grim, hostile stranger. It had been a normal hunger, a hunger that made me beg constantly for a crust of bread. And when I ate a crust or two, I was satisfied. But now, for the first time in my life, I have to pause and think of what's happening to me. This new hunger scares me. Whenever I beg Mama for some food now, she pours me a cup of tea. But a little later, I feel hunger twisting my empty guts until they ache. I get dizzy. Mama, I'm hungry. Well, jump up and catch a hungry. What's a hungry? It's what little boys eat when they get hungry. Well, what's it taste like? Well, I don't know. Then why you tell me to catch one? Because you said that you were hungry. I'm hungry, I want to eat. You'll just have to wait. But I want to eat now. But there's nothing to eat. Why? Just because there is none, but I'm hungry. You'll just have to wait. But why? For God to send some food. Well, when's he gonna send it? What? I don't know, but I'm hungry. And where's your father? I don't know. Well, who brings food into the house? Papa? Papa always brings food. Well, your father isn't here now. Well, where is he? I'm hungry. No, I'll take you to your father. No, I don't want to stay with him. I want you to ask him for money. I finally agree. A week later, I find myself standing in a room in a frame house. My father and a strange woman are sitting beside a fire and are blazing in a grate. My mother and I stand about 6 feet away, afraid to approach them any closer. It's not for me. It's for your children. It's for your children who are hungry that I'm asking you for money. I ain't got nothing. Come here, boy. The strange woman calls to me. I look at her and I don't move. Oh, he's so cute. Give him a nickel. Here, Richard. He is a cute child. Who are you? You ought to be ashamed. You're starving my children. Now, don't you all fight. I'll take that poker and I'll hit you. You told him to say that. Don't say such things, Richard. You ought to be dead. I say to the strange woman. The woman laughs and throws her arms about my father's neck. How can you starve your own children? Let Richard stay with me. Do you want to stay with your father, Richard? No. You get plenty to eat. I'm hungry now, but I won't stay with you. Oh, he's so cute. Give him a nickel. Here, Richard. Don't you take it, Richard. Don't teach him to be a fool. Here, Richard, take it. Look, I want to take the nickel, but I don't want to take it from my father. You ought to be ashamed. Giving your son a nickel when he's hungry? If there's a God, he'll pay you back. That's all I got. He laughs as he puts the nickel back into his pocket. We leave. As the days slid past, the image of my father became associated with my pangs of hunger. And whenever I felt hunger, I thought of him with a deep biological bitterness. One cold morning, my mother awakens me and tells me I must remain in bed until the coal she has ordered has been delivered. For the payment of the coal, she leaves a note and some money under the dresser scarf. I go back to sleep, and I'm awakened by the ringing of the doorbell. I open the door, let in the coal man, give him the money and the note, and he brings in a few bushels of coal. Then he lingers, asking me if I'm cold. Yes, sir. I'm shivering, so he lights a fire. Then he sits and smokes. How much change do I owe you? Well, I don't know. Shame on you. Don't you know how to count? No, sir. Well, listen and repeat after me. He counts to 10, and I listen carefully. Then he makes me count alone, and I do. Then he makes me memorize the words 20, 30, 40, and tells me to add 1, 2, 3, and so on. In about an hour's time, I've learned to count to 100. Once he's gone, I dance up and down in my night clothes, counting again and again to 100, afraid that if I don't keep repeating the numbers, that I'll forget them. When my mother returned from her job that night, I insist that she stand still and listen while I count to 100. She's dumbfounded. She teaches me to read, tells me stories. On Sundays, I read the newspapers, with my mother guiding me through and spelling out the words. Soon I'm asking far too many questions of everybody. We move in with my grandmother. To help support the household, she rents a room to a colored school teacher, Ella. And one day I find Ella sitting alone upon the front porch reading. Ella, what's that you're reading? Oh, it's just a book. But what's it about? I don't think your grandmother would like it if I talk to you about novels. I don't care. You mustn't say things like that. But I want to know. Well, when you grow up, you'll read books and know what's in them. But I want to know now. Okay, come here. Once upon a time, there lived an old man named Bluebeard. As she whispers to me the story of Bluebeard and his 7 wives, I cease to see the porch, the sunshine, her face, everything. She tells me how Bluebeard had duped and married his 7 wives, how he had loved and slain them, how he'd hanged them up by the hair in a dark closet. As she speaks, reality changes, and the look of things alters, and the world becomes peopled with magical presences. Enchanted and enthralled, I stop her constantly to ask for details. My imagination blazes. But just as she was about to finish, just when my interest was keenest and I'm lost in the world around me, Granny steps briskly onto the porch. And you stop that, you evil gal. I want none of that devil stuff in my house. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson, but he asked me. He's just a foolish child, and you know it. But Granny, she didn't finish. You shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. But I want to hear what happened. That's the devil's work. But I like the story. You gonna burn in hell. No more story. Not to know the end of the story filled me with a sense of emptiness, loss. I hungered for the sharp, frightening, breathtaking, almost painful excitement that the story had given me. And I vowed that as soon as I was old enough, I would buy all the novels there were and read them to feed that thirst for violence that was in me, for plotting, for secrecy, for intrigue, for bloody murders. So profoundly responsive a chord had the tale struck in me that the threats of my mother and grandmother had no effect whatsoever. They read my insistence as foolishness, something that would quickly pass. And they had no notion how desperately serious the tale had made me. I mean, they could not have known that Ella's whispered story of deception and murder had been the first experience in my life that had elicited from me a total emotional response. No words or punishment could have possibly have made me doubt. I had tasted what to me was life, and I would have more of it someday. I realized that they could not understand the way I was feeling, so I kept quiet. But when no one is looking, I'd steal into Ella's room and steal a book and take it to the back of the barn and try to read it. Usually I could not decipher enough words to make the stories have meaning. I burned to learn to read novels. And I tortured my mother into telling me the meaning of every strange word I saw. Not because the word itself had any value, but because it was a gateway to an enchanting and forbidden place. Anything seemed possible, likely, feasible, because I wanted everything to be possible. Because I had no power to make things happen outside of me. I made things happen within. And I kept asking my questions. I get a job working at an optical company where I'm assigned to run errands and wash eyeglasses. One day I arrived to work early and pick up a newspaper, the Memphis Commercial Appeal. And I come to the editorial page and I see an article dealing with one H.L. Mencken. The article is a furious denunciation of Mencken, concluding with one short, hot sentence. Mencken is a fool. I wondered what on earth this Mencken had done to call down upon him the scorn of the South. The only people I had ever heard denounced in the South were Negroes, and this man is not a Negro. Are there people other than Negroes who criticize the South? I mean, I know that during the Civil War, Southern whites didn't like Northern whites, but I've never encountered such hate during my lifetime. Knowing no more about this Mencken than I do at this moment, I feel a vague sympathy for him. I mean, how can I find out about this Mencken? Well, there is a huge library near the riverfront, but I know that Negroes are not allowed to patronize its shelves any more than they are the parks and playgrounds of the city. I've gone into the library several times before to get books for the white men on my job. Which one of them now would help me to get books? And how can I go about reading them without causing concern to the white men with whom I work? I've so far been successful in hiding my thoughts and my feelings from them, but I know I will create hostility if I went about this business of reading in a clumsy way. There is one white man whose attitude does not fit into an anti-Negro category. He's an Irish Catholic, and he's referred by the other white men as a Pope lover. And I know that he read books because I've gone into the library before him several times before. And since he too is an object of hatred, he might refuse me, but he would hardly betray me. So one morning, I paused before the Catholic fellow's desk. I want to ask you a favor. What is it? I want to read. I can't get books from the library. I was wondering if you let me use your card. Me card's full most time. Oh, I understand. You're not trying to get me in trouble, are you, boy? Oh, no, sir. Huh. What book you want? A book by H.L. Mencken? Huh. Which one? Well, I don't know. Has he written more than one? He's written several. Oh, I didn't know that. What makes you want to read Mencken? Oh, I saw his name in the newspaper. Look, it's good to want to read, but you ought to read the right things. Let me think. I'll figure out something. Richard, don't mention this to the other white men. Oh, I understand. I won't say a word. A few days later, he calls me to him. I've got a card in my wife's name. Here's mine. Oh, thank you, sir. If they suspect you, you'll get into trouble. Oh, I'll write the same type of notes to the library that you wrote when you sent me for books. I'll sign your name. Go ahead. Let me see what you get. That night, after work, I forge a note. Now, what are the names of books written by Mencken? I finally come up with what I think is a foolproof note. Dear madam, would you please allow this nigger boy? I use the word nigger to make the librarian feel that I could not possibly be the author of this note. Have some books by H.L. Mencken. And I forge the white man's name. And I go into the library, as I have always on errands for whites. And wait for the white patron to be taken care of first. What is it, boy? Well, what books by Mencken does he want? Oh, I don't know, ma'am. Well, who gave you this card? Mr. Falk. And where is he? He's at work at the optical company. I've been in here for him before. I remember, just that he never wrote notes like this before. Oh my gosh, she's suspicious. Perhaps she won't let me have the books. If she turns her back, I'll duck out the door and I'll never come back. But I have a bold idea. You can call him up, ma'am. You're not using these books, are you, boy? I don't know, ma'am. I can't read. I don't know what he wants by Mencken. Finally, she comes forward with 2 books in her hand. I'm sending him 2 books, but tell Mr. Falk to come in next time or send me the names of the books he wants. I don't know what he wants to read. I go out of the library fearing that the woman would call me back for further questioning. A block away from the library, I opened up one of the books and I read the title. Prejudices. I know what that word means. Right off, I'm on guard against Mencken's books. Why would a man want to call a book Prejudices? The word is stained with all my memories of racial hate. Perhaps I was mistaken about this Mencken. A man who has prejudices must be wrong. That night, in my rented room, while letting the hot water run over my can of pork and beans in the sink, I opened up the other book, a book of prefaces, and began to read. And I was shocked by the style, the clear, clean, sweeping sentences. How does he write like that? And why does he write like that? I pictured the man as a raging demon, slashing with his pen, consumed with hate, denouncing everything American, mocking God's authority. What is this? This man is fighting. He's fighting with words. He's using words as a weapon. Well, he's using them like a club. Can words be used as a weapon? I guess so, for here they are. Then maybe, perhaps I can use them as a weapon. No, it frightens me. I read on, and what amazes me is not what he says, but how on earth anyone has the courage to say it. Occasionally, I look up to reassure myself I'm alone in my room. And who are these men about whom Mencken speaks so passionately? I mean, who is Anatole France? Joseph Conrad? Dostoevsky? Maupassant? Tolstoy? Mark Twain? Nietzsche? And scores of others. Were these men real? I mean, do they exist, or did they exist? And how does one pronounce their names? I read their novels. Here, for the first time, I found ways and techniques of gauging meaningfully the effects of American civilization upon the personalities of people. I took these techniques, these ways of looking and feeling, and twisted them, bent them, adapted them until they became my ways of apprehending the locks in life of the black belt areas. This association with white writers was my life preserver to my hope to depict Negro life in fiction. For my race possessed no fictional works dealing with such problems, had no background in such sharp and critical testing of experiences, no novels that went with a deep and fearless will down to the dark roots of life. I had once tried to write, once reveled in feeling, let my crude imagination roam. But surely the impulse to dream has been beaten out of me by experience. Now it surges up again, and I hunger for books, new ways of looking and feeling. As dawn breaks, I eat my can of pork and beans, feeling dopey and sleepy. I go to work, but the mood of the book won't die. It lingers, coloring everything I see or hear or do. Whenever I take a book to the job site, I wrap it in newspaper. But some of the white men pry into my packages when I'm absent, and they question me. Say, boy, what you reading them books there for, boy? Oh, I don't know, sir. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty deep stuff you're reading there, boy. I'm just killing time, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Rattle your brains if you don't watch out. But I still forged more notes, and my trips to the library became frequent. Reading grew into a passion. It was like a drug or a dope. The novels created moods in which I lived for days. It would have been impossible for me to have told anyone what I derived from these novels, for it was nothing less than a sense of life itself. All my life has shaped me for the realism and naturalism of the modern novel, and I could not read enough of them. Steeped in new moods and ideas, I bought a ream of paper and tried to write. But nothing would come, or what did come was flat beyond telling. I soon discovered that more than desire and feeling were necessary to write. I mean, how is it possible to know people well enough to write about them? Me, with my vast ignorance and my Jim Crow station in life, it seems a task impossible of achievement. I now knew what being a Negro meant. I could endure the hunger. I've learned to live with hate. But to feel that there were feelings denied me, that the very breath of life itself was beyond my reach, that, more than anything else, hurt, wounded me. I had a new hunger. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Tarantino. I had not mentioned this before, but the performance that you witnessed was verbatim text of the adaptation. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And just one more thing for those of you who are not aware about Black Boy, it is an autobiography of Richard Wright, and it's during his early life that examines his tortured experience during the Jim Crow South between 1912 and 1927. So at this point, why don't you just take about a minute and maybe talk to your neighbor about something that really stood out to you in this performance. Either it be something that you saw, something that you heard. He talked a lot about having a hunger and what that means for you, what that stirs up for you. So can you take a minute talk to your neighbor, someone behind you, in front of you, and just discuss some of those things that sort of perked up for you. Take a minute to do that, please. Yeah, 10 more seconds. Okay. So we have some mics set up, please. So if anyone would like to get up and volunteer to speak about what it is they just witnessed, anything they'd like to share. Don't be shy. We're all family here. Yes, the mics are right there. We have someone. Oh, yes. Can you say your name, too? And what's your question? Or you have a thought about something? Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Josiah Weaver. I'm 12 years old and I'm from Connecticut. I asked a similar question at a performance earlier in the day. I wanted to know how your personal experiences and what you felt during those experiences. It could be from the childhood or just from regular experience that you felt, really deep feelings. How did they influence this character? Because I know the character has its own feelings that you need to channel, but how did experiences enhance the character?
It's a wonderful question. Tarantino?
Is it here? Well, oh, I'm back on now. I'm back on. Yeah, great question. Well, going to the very beginning of this whole thing being cast in this particular role, was a gentleman named Win Handman who was an acting instructor and coach. And he always likes to teach, as far as acting is concerned, to come from some place. So every single character I had to be able to relate to, whether I agreed with who they are in real life or not. I had to personally find a way to understand where they're coming from, somehow associate that fear or love or what have you with that character so I can portray it in an honest way for that character. So I would say throughout this entire piece, because like Lisa said, this is an excerpt, there's 20 different characters. So it's just sitting down and doing a character analysis and reading a novel. But all of those things are there. Somehow you want to pull from your life to understand. It may not be the exact scenario, but if you understand that this person is fearful or they're in love or what have you, what does that mean to you? And can you pull from your own life to bring that internal monologue?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I got it both on. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right.
My name is Naika Belizaire. I'm 18 and a student at Howard University here in DC. As I was watching this performance, I just found how mesmerizing it was, how you were able to embody every single character so beautifully. Like, I could literally sit there and I could feel that you were someone different.
Oh.
And it just felt so amazing. My question for you is, what made you get into this type of acting? What makes you stand on stage and think, this is it, this is what I want to do?
High school. I'm from North Carolina originally. And the big thing in my school was the musicals every year. And so I got involved with my first musical, which was Music Man. I had no lines, or anything, and I just walked across stage, and we worked for 6 months on every aspect of the show, or however long it was months. And I just loved it. I just loved being a part of a team of other actors. Even though this is a one-person show, which is very nerve-wracking because if you make a mistake, everybody sees you. In Music Man, if I missed a dance step, not many people noticed, except for my mom, of course, because she's probably watching me only. And but that's when the little bug caught me. And then I was lucky enough and blessed enough to, when I got a scholarship to a conservatory in New York years later, I got called in to do an audition for Win Handman for another piece, another show. And as he's watching me, he said, I want to talk to you. And he said, we sat down for about 45 minutes and talked about what my goals were. And it was nowhere in the conversation that I say anything about being famous. I just wanted to do good work. And he said, well, if you're the type of actor that you're saying that you want to be, this is the script for you. Take it home and read it. And this been a love affair with that book ever since, you know. And he was always a big mentor of mine and would always be, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have another question?
Oh.
Yes, please.
How did it feel acting out a very hard time in history?
Are those my choices? Very hard or kind of easy? I didn't hear you. Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say is during that point in history, a lot of people were going through hard times. And I just want to know how did it feel acting about that time in history?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. It was challenging and educational because I had to delve deeper into not just in the novel Black Boy. Everybody should get it. Richard Wright really takes you through his entire journey, and so he's such a great writer. Was such a great writer that a lot of it was certain situations where I could also relate to. And it was like having a friend to talk to about something that was similar or ran parallel in my life, even though it was a different time, I could still associate with those things. And it was great to continue reading to see how he made it through it or how he dealt with that situation, and then also having the novel that way. So that's what it was. It was challenging, but also therapeutic in a way. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
So my question was, do you remember the first performance you did?
Yes, I do. We were in New York City at the Natural Science Museum, and it was a Literature to Life symposium, and it was my first time. I was going to perform it in a room full of teachers and administrative people, and I was really, really nervous. It didn't help that the person ahead of me was awesome. She was doing A Secret Life of Bees, and so I saw her performance, and I'm like, what? No, I'm not going out there after her, And but I had to, and I still remember sitting in the dressing room, which was an office in the museum, just pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing. And whenever I do a performance, my knuckles go numb right before I get on stage. And that's something that has always happened to me. And that day, my whole hand went numb. But it was one of those things to kind of you work your way through it because you're next. You got to go. The show must go on. But yeah, thank you for bringing up that moment in history for me.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Were you happy or sad when you got to experience what the main character felt?
I was happy because I was able to read the novel first and understand where we were going after that, and to be able to share it with other people. We've been to schools, community theaters, we've been to universities, we've been around the United States, and all the various titles that you're going to see today, those same experiences with those novels, this is what makes them classics, and this is what makes them still relevant to this day. So it's really joyful to be a part of it. And it's really nice to be here in DC. I mean, I'm really geeking out right now, so gotta be honest with you.
Does anyone? Yes, please. Say your name, please.
Hi, Kathleen, and congratulations, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
And how long have you been performing this, and how long did it take you to memorize everything? I'm just knocked out over that. You just keep going.
Oh,
No mistakes.
It took Wynn and I worked for a month on characters. And then after a solid 30 days, like 8-9 hours of just developing the characters, one day I show up to rehearsal, Wynn goes, okay, now learn the lines, I'm going on vacation. And because the lines were already there. It's just the character development. So about somewhere between 6 weeks or so for lines and characters, 6 to 8 weeks. And I have now been doing this somewhere north of 15 years. I just don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a nice little time. But I have grown with it from the first day to now because of what I've learned from Wynn and what I've learned from just Q&As like this. When people tell me what they saw and how they experienced it, every now and then it's something that I didn't realize. Oh, you saw it this way. So it really helps me when I go back to look at the script. It's ever developing to always get better and better and better and better, even years and years and years later. Yeah, thank you.
Can you, Terrence, does anyone have another question? This is a wonderful, oh yes, please, sir, yes.
Thank you. There's this little turn. The last time you depict his white coworker that grills him about the book. At the end, there's this turn where it becomes kind of a concern for him getting caught. And I don't know if it quite goes to humanizing or allowing us to sort of understand or sympathize for his coworker. But what do you take from that little turn? Has that developed over time? And how do you read that as this character?
That was the most difficult character to develop, really, because he is against Richard reading. He's against Richard getting a library card, reading books, and all of those things. So it actually took me a little while to develop that character because I personally had feelings towards him. I had to sit down and actually say, okay, but to play this truthfully and honestly so other people can see this moment and experience this moment, I have to realize where he's coming from. What am I looking at here? I always like to start with love. Okay, what does he love? He loves the environment and the culture that he's already been in for so many of his entire life. He loves tradition. He loves things to not change. He loves everything about his society. He doesn't want anything to change. He's comfortable in it. And now things are starting to change. Someone like Richard getting a library card and reading, that's different. That's not how things should be to him. And have I ever wanted something to stay the same? Yes. Was I willing to kind of fight for it? Yes. Am I also flawed in a lot of different ways where I would say something aggressively, even though if I stop to think about it, this is the right way to go. So it was just really finding out where his love was coming from to be able to play him, and whether I agree with him or not, Tarantino-wise, it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like, you got to see where he's coming from so I can portray it to everyone else. And that's how I took it. I always like to approach things from love because you find a lot of richness when you're in characters, when you're seeing why they're so angry or why they're very happy. What are they trying to defend? What are they trying to protect? And what are they going for? So that's what kind of helped me through that right there. Yeah.
Do you read that moment as, like in your current iteration, do you read that moment as a turn towards love or an evolution of a different expression of oppression, of wanting to keep him down?
Wanting to keep him down, because you'll rattle your brains is his last line.
Okay.
Like he's laughing at the very beginning because it's just kind of like, hey, everybody, look at this guy. He's reading a book. Oh, he's reading. Oh, he's reading. And then he stops and takes that moment and just looks at Richard like, hey, watch yourself, basically. Like he's not on board with Richard reading. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We have about 5 more minutes, and so I wanted to
Oh.
ask you this, Tarantino. Why do you think that Black Boy is relevant today? Why are we still talking about it, reading it, performing it?
Because it covers so many different things. I mean, the overall theme of this novel is hunger. And it's not just hunger for food, but it's hunger for identity. It's hunger for your placement in society. It's hunger for you carving out for who you are in society as well. So everyone has gone on that journey. We were all once kids and teenagers and adults, and we've all have gone on our journey itself. This is Richard Wright's journey from growing up in his era of time through the South, segregated South, moving to the North and discovering different things were somewhat similar there as well. I feel like even today in this era of time, we can all relate to it. If you're a kid and you're reading the first chapter of this book, kids are seen and not heard. A lot of kids still feel that way today, where they're not allowed to be able to express themselves and say who they are without an adult telling them to be quiet. If you're a teenager, that self-identity and realization, that hunger that you have inside that you haven't identified yet because you're not aware of what these feelings are. And if you're an adult looking back through history and understanding those 2 moments in your life, as well as where we are right now as in American society, where we are now at a point, like when I first started this, one thing that I'm amazed about this center, for example, just give this example, when I first started this years ago, you never would have walked in any place and saw something like a men's room, ladies' room, all gender room. We are at that point now. And that's because of different conversations like this book brings up. It leads to different areas. People saying, this is who I am, and coming to that realization, or not having the realization and having the hunger, but still having the conversation with someone else. So this is always, in my opinion, going to be a book that's going to always be out there because someone can relate to it in different ways. Even if it's not, a color barrier, it can be a gender barrier, it can be some type of hunger that you have. And I feel that's what Richard was writing about throughout this entire novel. But he had taken it from his journey, which was very specific and idealistic. I mean, ideally, it was the best thing for him to write from that position because he would have never guessed that we're at this point nowadays. So yeah, it's something that we go to history classes with it. We go to social studies classes with it. We take it to communities. We were in Washington State, I forgot how many years ago now, but we were in this one state where the community had invited us to come in, and so many people showed up to see the show. And we also had a section of high school kids who skipped school to come and see it. And this one young lady stood up. She goes, not only did I skip school to see the show, but I brought my mom with me, right? And her mom was like, yeah, that's me. And at that show, she felt comfortable enough where in that room full of all of us, it was just a nice, safe environment that Literature to Life actually brings together. She felt comfortable letting everybody know she was gay, and she just came out with it and she felt safe. After the show was over with and everybody had to leave because another show was coming in later for that evening, we left, and in the streets were still people who wanted to talk and have the conversation. And then I had one lady pull me to the side. She goes, you don't understand how amazing this is. She goes, in 1998, we were voted the whitest town in America. And she said, now we have Black Boy here. And so everybody had questions and conversations, and it was nice. We could have stayed there for another couple of days just, unpacking everything. But it was a really nice place to be. It was, it was nice to have that conversation. Yeah.
Tarantino, thank you so much. We have another round of applause for Tarantino Smith for Black Boy. Just a couple of things. There are pamphlets if you are hungry for more, talking about having hunger. There's 2 people with orange T-shirts over here that say Lit to Life. We have these pamphlets. Please go to one of them, pick up one of these pamphlets to get more information about the work that we do. Literature to Life is performed in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges, and universities, and major venues all across the country. So we hope you've enjoyed this. Now, we're going to take a bit of a 15-minute break. We will be back with If Bill Street Could Talk, an excerpt from that by James Baldwin. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.